Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector, and as always, I want to thank you for tuning in. A very special thank you to all of our supporters and our clients. And a couple things I want to go over before I break down the fights is first things first, you never want to bet more than you can afford to lose. So you always want to be responsible. Second thing is much respect to all the men and women who step into the octagon. It takes a lot of guts to get in there and put it all on the line. And last but not least, always check your local laws and government. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, so I want to make sure everything is good in your city, your state, your country, wherever you're at. So let's go ahead and dive right into UFC Fight Night 78, Monterrey, Mexico. Wow, this is very, very exciting for the Mexican uh, people, and they have some good, some interesting matchups. And I think as fight fans, we'll be in for a treat here with some of these matchups and some of the way that these fighters fight in the octagon. But it's tricky because it's one thing to fight for excitement for the fans, and a whole other thing to fight um, to win, to fight smart, especially when you're investing your hard-earned money and your hard-earned dollar into it. It's a whole different ball game. So stuff that I've talked about in the past in videos and things. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So the main event, the main card, we have Kelvin Gastelum versus Magny. The big difference here, or the main, the key to the matchup, or whatever you want to call it, the make or break for these guys is that Gastelum is going to have the grappling advantage. Once Gastelum gets Magny to the ground, it's probably going to be either a short night for Magny, or he's going to get grinded out. So I see Gastelum sinking in a submission, and even on the feet. So let's say Magny's able to defend the takedown and keep it on the feet. Gastelum is very, very good. He has shown us rapid improvements. I mean, you could just go back and watch his fights from the Ultimate Fighter days to when he fought Tyron Woodley. Very, very close fight. And he knocked out Nate Marquardt. That doesn't really impress me, but you can see his improvements in his stand-up. And now he's training with Rafael Cordero, Master Cordero, down there in LA. So that's going to be a tough task for Magny to go up against and on short notice. So I definitely like Gastelum in this fight. The only thing that's swaying me from betting him big is the big price tag, man. They're making us pay 3-1 on it, and I think the line opened up around 270 anyway, so it's not like the public bet it up there. And that's a big, or the public or the sharps, or nobody bet it up there. It's just the way it's been. So 3-1, man. And Neil Magny's no joke. That's the other thing. That's the other part of the equation, is that Neil Magny's no joke. So I'm very familiar with Magny, very familiar with what he's capable of doing. But I got to go with Gastelum in this matchup. I think he'll have the opportunity. I think he'll be able to take the fight to the ground, and I expect Gastelum to take him down in round one. Then when they strike on the feet, Gastelum will be right there with him, maybe even possibly. I mean, the one problem I have with the stand up is that Magny's reach. He's going to have a reach advantage, so that's going to be tough to overcome. But so that's why I think the game plan will be to take him down, take Magny down, and Gastelum be able to get on top, move around, and and be able to sink in that submission in round two. So Gastelum is a pick. Gastelum is a bet. He'll be in a small round robin, so nothing too crazy or too wild, and that'll be that. Ricardo Lamas versus Diego Durango Sanchez. Man, this is a very this is a fascinating fight on so many different levels. First of all, Diego Sanchez has fought at 185 pounds, 170 pounds, 155 pounds, and now 145 pounds. Watching his videos leading up to the fight, man, I thought this guy's going crazy. He's just almost losing it, losing his mind with his weight cut, and but he's able to do it. Not only did he make 100, he made 145. I mean, I would have said just make 46 and be done with it, but he made 145 pounds, and that's very impressive. Offensively, though, Diego Sanchez, to me, doesn't offer, at this point in his career, much, if anything at all. The only thing he offers, really, is he comes forward. So, I think it's dead money. I do. But, to Diego's defense, the judges love him. They really do. They love Diego Sanchez, and they love his forward movement, his punches that don't land, but they look aggressive, and so that's a tough thing to ask of a bettor, to lay that type of price on Ricardo Lamas. There's good reasons why Ricardo Lamas has that big price, but I'm not going to lay that price, and I'm not going to advise you guys to lay it either. Ricardo Lamas should have a big offensive advantage, huge offensive advantage. I would not be surprised if Ricardo Lamas puts Diego Sanchez to sleep. And I think Diego Sanchez is dead money. He might show some signs of life in the fight, and you might think, oh wow, and this and that, but I think this is Lamas' fight to lose, and I don't think he'll lose it. I think Lamas is a killer, and I think he should win this fight. Now, the bottom line is backing your opinion up with your money, your hard-earned money. That's the bottom line, and it's a do not bet. Let me say it one more time in case you didn't capture it. Do not bet. I don't advise a bet at all on this fight. I'm going to sit back, enjoy it, watch it as a fight fan, because although I do get so wrapped up in betting these fights and breaking them down and, doing tons and tons of homework, I have, multiple notes and things. I left it inside, but although I do love to get as much action in as I can, sometimes the best bet you can make is no bet at all. So do not bet on this fight. I'm passing it. I got Ricardo Lamas winning a decision, and that's it. Henry Cejudo versus Jussier de Silva. Now, this is one that does interest me, because Henry Cejudo, gold medalist. I'm not sure how much I believe. I know he can say one thing, but I don't know how much I believe that Henry Cejudo wants to fight at 125 pounds for what? Maybe probably one more fight, and then he would get DJ. But it could be two. You never know, So I'm not sure this guy likes to make that weight. Actually, my eyes don't lie, and I can see that he does not. He struggles to make that weight. He doesn't enjoy it. He recovers fairly well, but against Jussier de Silva, this is one of those fights that, to me, something could go wrong for Henry, and Jussier could sneak right in there, sneak one of those slick, taking the back. I don't think Formiga will be able to take Cejudo down, but if he's just able to, slide in there slick, or maybe Cejudo takes him down and he reverses a position and takes it back real quick, I could see that happening. So ultimately, the pick is Henry Cejudo by decision, but I will be putting a small bet, just a very small bet, on Jussier de Silva at plus 475. Not even a unit. It's a 0.20 units to win, just about a unit. Just because I think there is a possibility of that happening, but I don't want to throw money away. It's not like I think there's a very high chance of it happening. I think the high chance of happening is Henry Cejudo wins a decision, and keeps the fight on the feet. defends any takedowns, probably won't even flinch at the takedowns, and then is able to win a decision, 30-27 decision, unanimous. But I do believe there is that small opportunity, and I want to be able to cash in on it. So it's just, 0.20 units to win a 0.95, so just about a unit to win that. So yeah, so that's a bet for that. But realistically, I expect Cejudo to win a decision, but I'll be rooting for Jussier da Silva at that sweet plus price. Efrain Escudero versus Leandro Silva. Hoo-wee. Leandro Silva, you look at him, take a look at him physically, and it appears as if though he has the tools, the raw tools, to be something special. And then you watch him fight. I'm not impressed with him. I'm really not. Efrain Escudero, you look at him, and he's not built like Leandro Silva. But he's been around forever, man. He's had so many fights. He trains over there at the MMA lab. He's just a well-rounded, skilled guy, and you're giving me plus 125 and a pick'em. I got to go with Escudero here. I really do. I think he will be able to definitely keep the fight competitive. Definitely won't be a one-sided beating. And win 2 out of the 3 rounds. I think he can get a dominant position. I don't think he'll sit in the bottom if he gets taken down. And I think that on the feet, it'll be very competitive. I give a slight edge to Escudero, to Efrain Hecho en Mexico Escudero. So I got to take Escudero here. I'll put him in that round robin with Kelvin Gastelum, and we'll keep moving forward. So Enrique Marin versus Erick Montano. So for this one, with these guys coming in here, they look a certain way on the show, and then they get to the house and they've drastically improved. So these are do not bets. For me, I'm not going to waste my hard-earned money on any of these guys. And what I'll do is I'll look for a guy or two who I believe has potential once they're in the UFC octagon, under the lights, under the stress. So many things, so many variables that these guys, so many things that these guys have to go through to even get in the octagon. So I would suggest do not bet on that fight, the other finale, and then 2 more other fights where these guys are just complete newcomers to the UFC, who just fought on The Ultimate Fighter, which we know is not the same thing. Let's take a look at Uriah Hall. Take a look at some of these guys. And like I said, there are some that come off that show who do very well, like Kelvin Gastelum, and he's great. But for the most part, man, do not bet. So Enrique Marin and Erick Montano. Marin's going to try to take him down. Montano's going to try to keep it on the feet. Usually the guy who gets a takedown at this level wins. So, it's like I said, it's tough to say, but I got to go with Marin on that one to win Enrique Marin to win a decision. And the other one is Enrique Barzola versus Horacio Gutierrez. Gutierrez might have some promise, so I'm going to go with Gutierrez here to win a decision. Barzola, once again, he's going to try to take the fight down, and Horacio Gutierrez is going to try to keep it on his feet. It's tough, it's a tough matchup, but I think Gutierrez can do it. I'm not overly confident, so that's why I'm not going to suggest a bet. And okay, so let's move to the prelims. Hoo-wee! This is one that I've probably spent the most time breaking down, and that is Taylor Lapilus against Erick Perez. Taylor, money has come in on Taylor, and so I watched his fights several times, and his striking is impressive, his footwork is impressive, his ability to get back on the feet is impressive, but who did he do that to? Rocky who? And Sasaki, a guy with 0 lower body strength, nothing whatsoever, and a guy who was talking a lot big game, saying he was going to spin Taylor on his pinky and do all this and do that. Totally overlooked Taylor. So of course he's going to look that way. Of course he is. It's just a lot of these fights is who is it that the fighter is fighting? Who are they fighting? Who are they taking on? Take a look at Erick Perez. Most of the public and even the sharps are turned off by him because of his ability to get hit, so his striking defense, and also being submitted, losing split decisions. But for this fight, Erick Perez is more focused than I've ever seen him. He's down in San Diego training with the Del Fierro team over there at Alliance. He's training 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu with Boogeyman. I mean, he is very focused for this fight. And it's in his hometown. So this was going to be my only bet for the card. This was going to be it. And so I'm going to risk 4.20 units to win 4 units on Erick Perez. I don't expect the fight to come easy, and I do expect to have certain moments of the fight where I am on my feet, saying a couple things to the TV, giving some instruction. But ultimately, I think Perez will win this fight, and I'm very excited too. Because, this line opened up at minus 180, and the public and the sharps bet it all the way down to pick 'em. And so that's when I decided to pull the trigger. And I really like Erick Perez. I think he will be able to possibly finish the fight by submission or win a decision. And Erick Perez will be my pick, and Erick Perez will be my bet. So for the next one, we got Bartosz Fabinski versus Hector Urbina, my tocayo Hector. For Hector, he's getting very emotional for this fight. Super emotional. His last fight, he fought Edgar Garcia. I bet Hector, and he won. But I'm not expecting him to win another fight here, especially against Bartosz Fabinski. Fabinski should win this. He should finish. I don't think he will. He'll probably go into the well, maybe for Bartosz will finish either a third round finish, second round finish, but probably a decision. Just depends on how much Hector has improved. So I'll say Bartosz by decision, but it's a do not bet for me. Scott Jorgensen versus Alejandro Perez. Jorgensen is totally overlooking Alejandro Perez here, and I expect that to come back to bite him in the butt. So I got Alejandro Perez winning a decision. Alejandro's over here in San Jose training at AKA, and he's putting in the good work there. Jorgensen, on the other hand, is completely overlooking him. That's a mistake. So as far as how the fight breaks down, Jorgensen's going to have to take Perez down, but I think Perez's takedown defense will be good enough. He's been doing these a lot of wrestling, and I think Perez will be able to defend the takedown. And on the feet, it should be even. But with Perez's motivation, focus for this fight, that'll be gives him the slight edge here. Jorgensen has the tools, but he's been on a big decline. I think he's like 2-7 in his last 9 fights, something ridiculous. And sure, he's been fighting really good fighters, but I think he's completely overlooking Perez, and I think Perez will pull up the upset. Gabriel Benitez versus Andre Fili. I think Fili knows what time it is, and I think Fili will come in here very prepared and get a decision win. Alvaro Herrera versus Vernon Ramos. Ramos is the guy I'm watching here on this particular matchup here. I think Ramos will get the takedowns, and I expect Ramos to get the win. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Cesar Arzamendia versus Polo Reyes. Another interesting matchup here. It's tough to say with these two guys. Watching them Ultimate Fighter, I really could see it going either way. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Polo Reyes. And the first fight of the night, Valmir Lazaro versus Michel Prazeres. Prazeres, to me, has been a very interesting fighter because his takedowns are powerful, man. His takedowns are strong. He'll hold the guy down, and he's an interesting little fighter for sure. With Valmir Lazaro, he's going to have to keep this fight on the feet for a while because Prazeres is not going to give up, and Prazeres' striking isn't bad. Lazaro has those long limbs, and that's going to give a lot of That's going to give a lot of options for Michel Prazeres to finish his fight with a submission. So I expect Prazeres to finish his fight with a submission in round 2. So MMA dog bets, 1 unit equals 1% of the bankroll. I suggest the ratio remain the same. First let me go over the... So 5-star picks, bets, unfortunately there are none. I'm always looking for them. Always looking for those, because on those, I am 18-1. 94% winning percentage. 4 stars, always looking for those. I'm 93-20. That's 82%. There are none in this one. And for the 3-star picks, I'm 60%. So I'm 210 and 139. And that's in the last 104 UFC events. So some history here for sure. So for 3 stars, I got Erick Perez at minus 105. Kelvin Gastelum at minus 300. Efrain Escudero at plus 125, Michel Prazeres at minus 105, and Alejandro Perez at plus 115. You can find all those odds at pinnaclesports.com, bookmaker.eu, and 5dimes.eu. So the first pick and the first bet is Erick Perez at minus 105, 4.20 units to win 4 units. The round robin of 2, 6 parlays at 0.30 units each. Total bet is 1.80 units to win 4.77 units if all 6 parlays hit. Kelvin Gastelum at minus 300, Efrain Escudero at plus 125, Michel Prazeres at minus 105, and Alejandro Perez at plus 115. And the third and last bet is a small play, a 0.20 unit play to win 0.95 on Jussier Formiga at plus 475. So grand total is 6.20 units to win 9.72 units. Expected return on investment is 157%. So that does it for me. Once again, thank you very much to our clients. Thank you to our supporters, especially our clients. And that does it. So I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Like I said, you always want to bet responsibly. Much respect to all the men and women stepping into the octagon, and always respect the laws. So I hope you guys all have a great weekend, a great week, and I'll see you guys next weekend.